right, here we go. So for those that have a left or right turn landing or a U-shape, we're going to show you how. Now, when you order the stair runner, you're going to have extra, right? You're going to roll it up, and then what you want to do is you want to cut off the extra. So you want a good blade, and we've already installed up to the nose. So we're just going to bend that down, and we're going to cut from the outside end, leave about 2 inches, and then the outside on the right side. Oop, not sharp. There we go. And then we're just going to take this piece. This piece is going to be for your upper stairs, right? So, because it's got the finished top. So we're just going to roll that up, and we're going to put that aside because we're working on the landing. So we've got our tools and everything ready. So how we're going to approach this here is we're going to grab our kicker. We've got our stable gun. We've got our tools close to us. We're going to take our spacer, and we're going to move it up one. We still want to make sure that's straight. We look good. We're going to put some pressure from our hip. We're going to lean into this. We're going to make sure that we're straight over here. And then we're going to crease this. Okay? It just makes it more pliable and easier to deal with. Okay, so the staples don't pop out. We can take the pressure off. Let's have a look. Okay, we've got our gap in the back. Now, when we staple this, we have to cut off this extra because we've got to do our landing. This would be the same way that you would approach if you were finishing your land, or if you're finishing your runner up to like an upper hull. You want to finish with the nice sewn edge under here. You're going to finish this the same way. So it's the same process. All right. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that our stable gun is straight up and down. It's touching the nose here. You don't want to scratch it in case it's your upper hull. But we don't want to do it on a 45 this time. We want to make sure we're straight up and down. That way the staples are a little bit more on an angle, and when you go to cut the top off, you have a less likely chance of hitting the staples. Because once you hit the staples, your blade's done, right? So we're going to show you how to do it clean. So let's get some pressure. Check our spacer here. We're good. We're going to take our stable gun straight up and down, touching, right? I'm just going to put 1 in. I'm going to move it over. I'm going to put 2. Okay. I'm going to move it over to the end and put 3. I'm not doing too much because we've got to cut it. I'm going to do it the same way this way and the same way this way. Now, what that does is that holds it into place. We can take our tucker and we can make a good line here. Okay? We've got to cut that. So, with a good blade, we're going to show you a method. This is kind of a new method that I figured is easier for DIYers. Instead of going to the outside and cutting and having an opportunity to cut your riser, let's start in front of the binding with a sharp blade. We're almost laying it down flat like that, so the blade cuts above. Because we don't want to cut it on the 45, we'll hit the staples. So we're going to go in front of the binding instead of on the other side of the binding, and we'll cut that later. Almost flat. Watch this. Push all the way to the middle, and you can cut that, and you can see how that came off. And then what we'll do is we'll just take our scissors, pull up that corner, and snip that off. Later, we're going to put a bead of glue to stop the fraying. But basically, you don't cut your riser, and it looks nice. Now we're going to do the same thing from this side on the inside of the binding. We didn't cut any staples, right? We'll just lift that off. I know you guys can't see it as well. Same as the other side. Cut that off, tuck that down, blow out our fluff, right? Tuck that down. And you're going to need a few more staples in there on the angle now, the 45. Okay, take your tucker, bang those down, clean the fluff out. Okay, and now you're ready for your landing. So now that we're done, we need to measure for our landing. Every landing that we send you, now unless you have special requests, most landings are under 4 feet by 4 feet. This landing is 37 inches wide, and the length of it from the end is 48 inches. Okay, so we're going to send you a landing that's 4 feet long by 4 feet wide, and then you're going to adjust accordingly. Now, we only need the landing to go 1 inch past the outside of the underpad, right? Because we're always 1 inch more. We're 1 inch on this side, 1 inch over there. We've got our 1 inch here to staple, and then we're 1 inch around the perimeter here, okay? So we need to cut our landing. If our landing's 4 feet, we have to figure out what size our landing is going to be. Now, what we do is we're going to measure from the underpad to here. Now, if you watch the underpad video, we've already lined this all up. This is lined up with the upper stairs, and this is lined up with the lower stairs. So I'm going to use my underpad as a guide because I took the time to make this underpad centered perfect. So I want to measure from this side, and I want to measure from this side to get a measurement, right? We're just going to measure from the pad. Don't pull the pad up. Put it nice and even. Get it to the end. Roll it under the nose and down into your groove. I've got 45 inches. A little less than 45, but let's 47 3/4. Let's do the same thing here. Up and under. I've got 44 3/4. Okay. And on this side, I've got up and under the nose, I've got 44 3/4. So what I'm going to do is, because I want this an inch over the back, I've got 44 3/4 up and over and down. I'm going to cut this at 45 3/4, my landing, because I have an extra inch, right, that I want to overlap. This is 44 3/4. I want to cut this 45 3/4, right? Now you could even cut it 46 to make sure that, you know, you didn't mess up, that you pushed it under here enough, or you have enough to get down. I'm going to cut mine at 45 3/4, and you guys can be the judge to see how we do. All right, I've got my landing laid out on top of a piece of underpad. We said our measurement was going to be 45 3/4. Make sure we're lined up. I'm going to mark with a pencil. 45 3/4. I'm going to go to the other side. I'm going to measure 45 3/4. I'm going to take a straight edge, and I'm going to line up those two marks. And I'm going to mark that. Okay. I'm going to get a good knife and a pair of scissors, and I'm going to cut before the binding. I'm going to cut all the way down to the binding. Okay. Leaving that open. And then I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm going to follow through and meet my line. Cut any fluff. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. Okay. And now that's done. Let's go check it out. Okay. Here we go. Let's line it up on our underpad. Now it depends. Some carpet is fluffier than others. This has got a little bit of fray. So what we want to do is just clean that fray up. Don't cut too much, because then you'll see the joint. Okay, clean that off. Yep. Okay, looks good. Now we're going to check before we put it in. Okay, I'm going to get this down into position. All right, line it up here. Now remember, after when we're done, we're going to put a little glue on any connection points. We're going to put glue. We're going to use our carpet tucker, use the tip, right here, and we're going to bang this down and score this up. Okay, I'm going to go up top. I'm going to check. Looks good. I'm going to take my spacer, and I'm going to move it up to the top because it's the same as the stairs. Okay, looks good. We're on line. Now, we're ready to lock this thing in place. Now remember, we cut this an inch longer. I want you to check, double check, and check again before you lock it into place. I have a little bit of experience with this, so I'm just going to go ahead. We're all lined up. Our lines are lined up. We look good, right? When we send you a stair runner and we send you the matching landing, we're always going to make sure that we line up the lines for you so it'll look like it was one piece. We're going to split the pile and lock that into place. I'm going to go down to the other end. I'm going to split the pile and lock that into place. And then I'm just going to split the pile every few inches. And I'm going to lock that into place. Right? If you feel you need more, use more. But I don't want to see staple marks. So I want this groove to be the best possible groove that I can get. Right, that looks good, nice, crisp, and clean. So now we're going to work the nose. Same as we did the stair. No difference here. Rinse and repeat on a lot of this. Right, underneath, 45, double tap. Every 2 inches all the way down, and double tap. Feel for staples, everything looks good. Now we're ready to complete the top of the landing. Okay, we're on the top side now. We're going to need our staple gun. We're going to need our kicker. We've got our spacer. So what I want to do is we want to tighten this up a little bit. Now here is going to be the first time you're going to see me kick a little bit. Because this is a longer thing, I'm just going to tap it though. I don't need to like put tons of pressure. My spacer is good here. Now we're already locked under the nose. I'm going to move my spacer to the back. Oh, look at that. And then where my first place that I'm going to lock is I'm going to lock in the corner. Okay? So I'm going to kick. And after I kick, now listen, you should be doing it straight. The tripod is in the way behind me, so just bear with me, okay? We want to make sure that that is straight. You want it straight, right? So you want to kick straight. Straight. Spacer. Looks good. What we want to do when we kick that is you want to put pressure and then keep pressure on the knee. Okay, I'm going to take it so you can see this. Pressure. Kick, knee. I'm keeping the pressure in. We're going to lock this down between the binding and the carpet. Okay, now that's locked into place. It's lined up over here. Now what you can do is you can make a spacer up for here, figure out what your width is, make a spacer. I'm going to use my tape measure. I know that my gap is 2 3/4, and I want my gap to be 2 3/4 over here. Now this is too much to deal with. So what we want to do is we want to cut it down a little bit. I'm going to take 1 inch off so that it's a little bit more pliable, easier to deal with. Okay. Got staples, we're lined up. We're going to give a kick. Not really a kick, just a little bit of pressure. And we're going to lock it into place all the way down. Okay, now notice how we went straight up and down again against the nose because we do have to cut that. We don't want to hit those staples. Now for the outside edge, we want to put staples all the way along here, right? 1, 2, 3. You can get the idea. All the way along, right? Until it looks perfect. Staple between the binding and the carpet. And now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to staple between the binding and the carpet all the way along here. And you're going to want to do the same on here as well. Okay, so we're just going to finish this up. We're going to score this. Okay, we're going to take a good knife. We're going to cut before the binding to the middle, from the binding on the right hand side to the middle. We're going to cut in the middle. Then we're going to take our shears and we're going to finish that cut. Okay, same on the other side. Cut, blow out the fluff. And now we're ready for the next part of the stairs. So you saw how to do the San Lucas Stair Runner landing. That was a left turn. I'm Shannon with Direct Carpet. Thanks for watching.